I want to know your views as it relates to what will we tell Egypt as it relates to the state of relations between our countries in terms of its adherence to the Camp David peace treaty with Israel?
Senator Menendez, I don't think there could be the slightest doubt about our views about Egypt's adherence to the Camp David peace treaty with Israel. And as I mentioned before, I think the Egyptian government at all levels has made utterly clear its commitment to that treaty, which is in its interests.
Now, and yet there are a series of actions that we have seen that are unsettling to some of us who believe that that is a cornerstone of U.S. foreign assistance to Egypt. Is Egypt's adherence to its international obligations, including the peace treaty with Israel, a prerequisite for U.S. assistance?
Well, let me put it this way, Senator. We entirely anticipate that Egypt will abide by its international agreements, and the assistance to Egypt is, of course, based on those agreements from many years ago.
So if, in fact, we were to come to a conclusion that at a certain point in time we do not believe that Egypt is pursuing its international obligations to that agreement, then we would expect that we would not be forthcoming in terms of the $1.5 billion that we give Egypt?
Senator, I don't think we have any reason to expect that Egypt is not going to abide by its commitments with Israel. But again, as I said, I think this is widely known that the assistance to Egypt is essentially as a result and tied for many years to the Camp David Accord.
So the reopening of the Rafah border crossing, which has been closed since 2007 due to concerns about Hamas using that to bring weapons and fighters into Gaza, some of the gas disruptions that have taken place, some of the other actions, you're not concerned?
I didn't say that, Senator Menendez. I think what I told Senator Casey was, in fact, we were concerned about these issues. And in fact, that the Egyptians and Israeli security forces are working on these issues, that there is a very serious concern about smuggling, of course. And the Egyptians, with Israeli concurrence, have put additional troops into the Sinai to confront this. The gas is flowing again. There were 2 attacks on the pipeline. The law and order situation is bad there, but the gas is flowing again. There are some pricing disputes, but this is an issue that we think the Egyptians and Israelis can work out
many of us
themselves.
have and had and have still high hopes for a transition here that is both more democratic and continually secular, but many of us also have concerns about some of the actions and where we're headed. And our support, certainly this senator's support, for assistance to Egypt at the levels that we have been supporting it is predicated on a continuing relationship with a major ally of the United States important to our national security and our national interests. And so I hope you understand that there are those of us here who are not ready to sign a blank check because of a long-term relationship. And we will be expecting our next United States ambassador to make that very clear.
Senator, I don't think anyone expects the Congress of the United States to write a blank check anymore. Our financial conditions would not permit it. And I think the military assistance in particular, as well as the civilian assistance, but particularly the military assistance, the very significant amount that you all have appropriated over the years, has really been a source for stability, encouraged stability in the region.
Well, financial circumstances certainly create pressures on all of our assistance abroad, but in my mind, this relationship in terms of whatever continuing assistance the United States might produce is beyond even the financial circumstances of the country. It is also about whether or not Egypt is living up to our expectations for which we are willing to assist it in moving in the right direction. So I think I've made my case. I will leave it at that. I want to talk about one other thing, and it is something that I am seriously concerned about. It's how Coptic Christians are treated inside of Egypt. It is totally unacceptable. We have seen, an Egyptian court have 16 suspects that were found not guilty. The 2 who were convicted were released on bail. I look at this circumstances of a sit-in by Coptic Christians who are trying to get churches reopened, where a group of men attack the people participating peacefully in the sit-in, using firearms, knives, stones, Molotov cocktails. Over 78 people were wounded. So what do you see as progress being made by the Military Council to end sectarian violence and tension, and what are the prospects for constitutional changes and laws that would address sectarian violence and ease restrictions, for example, on building churches? I have a very tremendously productive Coptic Christian community in my state of New Jersey, and I do not. They're very peaceful people. They're very entrepreneurial. I don't understand this continuing violence against them, and I would hope the United States makes it very clear to Egypt that the continuing attacks upon people simply because of the altar that they choose to worship at is not acceptable.
Yes, thank you, Senator Menendez. Yes, we've made this absolutely clear to the Egyptian government on many levels, and this is certainly flared up after the unrest in Tahrir Square, and I think it's gotten worse. I don't think there's any question about that. That said, the military government has reconstructed the church that was destroyed and has arrested people that have attacked Coptic Christians. There was just a draft law the other day, and frankly, we've gotten very mixed reports about the construction of these churches or mosques. It may not be satisfactory to the Coptic community. We just don't know yet. But we certainly expect this government and the new Egyptian government to observe freedom of religion, which is in their constitution and in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of which, of course, Egypt is a signatory. So that is certainly one of our expectations of this government and any new government.
And my final question, as the next ambassador, can I rely upon you to vigorously raise this question with the Egyptian government?
You certainly can, Senator Menendez. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.